getting up to trouble here in the Discord. You guys were passing notes and stuff. That's weird. Is my audio okay for everyone else? That's good. Okay. Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure, Charlie. That's odd. Snowflake, don't. Don't you dare. All right, let me clear out the day trades, the watch list here. We'll just build anew. We'll start fresh today, just like we always do. First thing I'm going to do, obviously, is log into the account. All right. I'm going to take this number here, 437.70, and then I'm going to divide that by 4. That's going to give me a 109.43. I've already put that number in my quantity settings for my buy size, so I know exactly how much I'm buying. Take up to 4 buys. And we got about 2.5 minutes till market open. Plenty of time. Let me kick this down to the 2-minute. Already got some boxes drawn on this one, which is good. That's AHMA. We got pretty good volume here this morning. I think we're going to have a better time as far as finding opportunities goes. ATON, XAIR, I like this one. DCOY, I'll add it anyway. It's good. We got so all these are like in the perfect price range. They're all like between $1 and $2. BCTX is good, but it needs volume. I'll probably watch this one, but I don't think I'm going to trade it. I think I'm just going to add it just to have it on my list. And then that's kind of all I need. I'll add EVTV just because we like that one, but that might sell off pretty hard. So, all right, so let me put these tickers over here in the chat so you guys can see them. I got quite a few today. BCTX, AHMA, ATON, DCOY, and XAIR. All right, so obviously we don't want to look at all of them. We don't want to trade them all. Just want to see what the market is willing to give us. So obviously EVTV, we don't really have to do too much in terms of sorry, I just kind of was looking at opportunities here. So we don't need to do too much in terms of you know, analysis, right? Because we already have it, and I'm kind of partial to this one falling down. So we'll see what it does. But I'm also going to take one SPX trade. And then if that wins, I'm not touching SPX again for the rest of the day. All right, let me push this over here. And that, of course, is only if I like what it gives me. I don't want to just jump in and and see what I get. All right, so we got a pivot here. I'll draw this. We'll see what it does. But oh, sorry, I got to switch back over to SPY. So SPY is up, but it's basically break even from close. So we'll have to see where SPX actually goes. I got my levels already drawn out, so I don't have to worry too much about, you know, trying to catch anything. Just going to kind of draw some boxes here, and we'll see what we get on this one. And again, with SPX, it's super critical. The only thing I care about is getting a small piece. I don't want to catch the whole thing. I don't have to catch the whole thing. Just want to catch my small piece. I'm probably going to be looking at calls again. I'd like to see it pull back here and then bounce again, or a break from there to there. So just going to be looking for calls today, keeping it pretty tight. And I already missed this entry, but that's okay. You know, I don't want to jump in just because market opened 20 seconds ago, because that's not good. I'm going to be trading the probably around the 100, 110 range. So the 70, 20, 70, 15s, maybe, unless it pulls down. If it pulls down, then I'll grab something a little bit lower. So just to highlight what I'm looking for here, we got that, and then we got that. That's all I care about. Not really looking for puts today. I'm expecting some bullish, some bearish movement, but I'm not going to be jumping in front of this train anytime soon. So I'll let it breathe a little bit. I'll figure out where it wants to go. You know, it's obviously showing a little bit of strength here so far. I'm also going to put a line right here, just so we can differentiate between yesterday and today. And I just want to catch a small piece. I don't want to shoot for the stars here. So I'm going to wait until some of the contracts settle down. They're already starting to settle down pretty nicely, which is good. But this this volume is pretty aggressive here, so kind of eyeballing the 70-20s here. It's got decent enough volume. Problem is I don't want to get in too early, right? Because if I try to get in like right here, it's going to be sketchy. So I might look for the 70-15s. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm going to queue up the 70-15s. Not going to buy them, but I'm just going to queue them up. And then if we can push back over that box, I'll hop in. Yeah, I think I'm going to hop in there. And then just immediately getting that sell order ready because I don't trust SPX. Now, as time goes on, these are going to deflate. So I have to just get my piece and get out on the next pop. I don't want to hang out too long in these. And you can see it's already down quite a bit. So I don't want to hang out and have this, you know, start to fall off and die. So I'll take a little hit on it if I have to, but it is SPX, so the volatility is going to be pretty insane. But these are not ones you want to add to. You don't want to average down on SPX 0 days, especially within that first like half hour, you know, because that's how you die. Hey, what's going on, Donkey? What one should I buy real quick? Don't buy anything, buddy. I mean, I can't legally tell you to buy or not buy anything, but if you don't know what to buy, there's no need to buy anything. Just hang out and watch. So the SPX part, this is the riskiest part of the morning, so I don't want anyone to just blindly copy me. I'm just getting my small piece and getting out. You can see this just pushed all the way up here, and this contract is still, it's pretty far out. Like it's a 70-15, so that's up here. You know, so it's pretty far out. So we got to be very careful. And this pretty much has to break over this box in order to get value. Why SPX and not SPY? I just like the volatility on SPX. You get much faster resolution on it. Which of course means it can also bite me pretty hard. So it's high risk, high reward. So I might cut this here pretty soon. It's being weird. Like it's not reflecting the move that we just had accurately. So not a big fan of that. So I might cut this one if it doesn't pop over that box here pretty soon. And I'm looking for like maybe 30%, maybe, if that. What's going on, Junjun? You're a sports bettor, not stock marketer. That's okay. It's all the same concepts of supply and demand. You know, we trade Kalshi, and it's the same process. Jeremy Dennis, this is Webull. I use Webull for pretty much everything on the smaller accounts because I want everyone to see, you know, just consistency. All right, so I'm just waiting for the volatility to settle down on these. So the IV on these contracts is pretty high. So, so when I got in, the contract costed a little bit more than I liked, but that's okay. I got in before ideally the bigger move here. So now we're just kind of waiting. And what I'm looking for basically is just to pop over this box. And then ideally, just a quick run over that level right there, the high, the 69.8633, yesterday's high. But as you can see, you know, the contract is struggling, and even though the price is moving up nicely, the contract itself is just now starting to get some support. So the prices kind of stayed in this area up here, and then the contract went from -20 to like -5. So that's good. That means that people are starting to step in and support it, but it has to break over now in order for me to get my run. And then the key here with SPX is that as soon as that profit's in hand, you know, not fighting it and just accepting what's there. So for 30% on a 120, I'm looking for 156-ish. So somewhere around there. It may go higher. And if it does, I'll let it go a little bit higher, but I don't want it to stall and pull back and then potentially have that profit just deflate down to like -20% again, which happens. So again, there's going to be some volatility on these contracts, and I don't want anyone to copy me. Delicious. And while that's going, let me bring this over here. Yeah, I kind of want to look at these, but I got to focus on SPX here. I don't want to look away too much, especially as we're getting to the break-even point. But I can see ATON is having a good morning so far, which is pretty good. All right, so we're between the range and the yesterday's high. So we should be seeing some decision here pretty soon. Oh, Junjun, you already did your 3 trades on BCTX for a 3.78% P&L for the day, and you're done, right? Are you done? Was that the part that you left out? Tried the new 80-20 in your second trade. How'd that work out for you? Did great. All right, good stuff, man. Well, congrats. Just super quick in and out, man. Hit within 1 minute. That's how you do it. Beautiful. All right, so this one's kind of puttering around a little bit. So I'm going to hang out on that one. Let me just catch up on the chat here. Jeremy Dennis says, I tried on TradingView. Any suggestions for a quick, easy option trade platform on TV? I don't really like the TradingView interface for options personally. It's just not something that because you're missing a lot of information, you know? So also really quick, these contracts just, the price just pulled all the way back here and it stayed at 10%, which is good. So as long as that pressure stays in, we should be all right on these contracts. But I don't want it going like down here or down here. So we'll see. It's just kind of figuring out which way it wants to go. I know a lot of people like Robinhood for their options. It's a pretty simple interface, especially if you're doing like spreads and things like that. But I personally prefer Webull for this, but I don't like TradingView for anything related to options. I like it for equity all day, but just not options. If that helps. All right, so these contracts are pushing down, or the price is pushing down pretty hard, and these contracts are kind of staying in range. So that gives me a little bit more confidence in there. So now while that's cooking, I'm just going to switch over to these and see if anything's moving in a way that I like. Just my quick little percentages here. Yeah, I'm going to just take BCTX. I guess I can't really move it down the list, but EVTV is pulling back a little bit. Yeah, it's having trouble holding above this area here, so. Yeah, that's just going to be a FOMO. Like, I was looking for a break over this wick right here, this candle, but I don't think I like what it's doing here. It's got to go, and it just got to chop down off that, so that one's pretty much ineffective. This would be good if it didn't halt right there. All right, so I think the only one that I'd really like to watch right now is going to be ATON and XAIR. Yeah, I might grab some XAIR here in a minute if it can break over these wicks here, but if it goes down, there's no point in risking it. I don't really like that too much. SPX, I'm just going to keep an eye on that. That's starting to push up again. Just got to switch back to this periodically so I don't lose track of this pretty high risk trade. I was kind of waiting it out, guys. It's not a super enthusiastic rally just yet. It's just kind of hanging out in this range. So far we're entirely within, yesterday's power hour range. We haven't really moved out of there, and that's from there to there. 69.76.39 up to 69.86.33, which is yesterday's high. So we haven't really broke out of that range yet. That's why I'm just chilling. All right, so just switching back to ATON real quick. AHMA. So this one just unhalted, and then it halted again. So we got another 4 minutes on that one. So I wouldn't want to catch this one right into that box, though. That's XAIR. Get rid of those fibs as well. So this one, you got a box right here. That would have been perfect, but the risk range on that would have been pretty high. Just kind of seeing what we get here. Don't really trust these just yet. DCOI has a decent enough setup, but it needs volume. BCTX is trash. EBTV is looking like it's going to be H-shaped continuation. So not looking for that one to the upside. Unless it gets a lot of support. So on the equity side, it's pretty sketchy, right? There's not a lot we can really use just yet. Is XRP a good coin to invest in now? Well, I'm going to turn the tables on you. What do you like about it? I mean, I like XRP myself, but if you have to ask someone else, you know, I gotta keep an eye back over here, by the way. You know, if you have to ask someone else if it's a good investment, then that's not a good investment for you, right? Because you got to be able to have some justification. So what would be your goal and what would be your reason for buying XRP right now? If you did. You're just looking for a long-term hold or a short-term? You did it for a long-term investment? Okay. Do you know anything about it? Have you done any research on it? And do you have a good portfolio allocation for it? Ooh, that's a good little push on that one. Out of office done for the day. Google calls, realized 375.46. Good stuff, man. Congrats. I am probably going to cut SPX. Holy crap, I just realized it's down 30%. Let me just shoot over there and see what's going on with that. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I don't want to add to it. I'll see if it gets bought up here. Otherwise, I'm just going to cut that. If it can't get back into this box, I'm out. That number should be much lower, which is the only reason I'm still holding on to it. But yeah, that's a nice pull down. Ooh-wee. And that's where SPX gets dangerous. So the fact that this is still down here and it's gaining value is interesting to me. Doesn't mean I'm going to add to it because that's insane. But I do like it down here. I'm sorry, at this this premium while it's down here. So we'll see if that can get bought back up. And on SPX, like if you have to take a hit, you know, you can always just take a hit. It's never too late, even if it's like 80% down. There's nothing wrong with just locking it in and saving what's left. So in this case, it's pretty far down. Like that's a pretty substantial move to the downside, and it was still like 30%, which is, it should have been like 60% in reality. That's the only reason I'm still hanging on to that. But if you ever have a situation like that and it's not like abnormally, if the price like isn't odd like that, you can always just cut it. And I'll probably end up just cutting this too. If that goes down there, I'm out below this box. Or if I see a shift in that premium. And if that happens, you know, I'll just take the hit on it. I can always make it back. But gotta be careful with stuff like that. And that's why we take, you know, a smaller piece of the portfolio. That's why you don't want to put your whole portfolio into something like that. So we got to be very careful with SPX. I don't really know much about crypto. You normally use a copy trader. Okay. How's that working? Were you able to find a copy trader that actually works? Is that the exception to the rule? Someone advised me to buy it, so I bought almost 100K worth of it. I saw how Bitcoin fell last year, so I'm a bit scared. Yeah, that's I mean, that's a lot of money to just throw around based on someone else's recommendation. Is that on a paper account, or is that real money? Because I'll tell you right now, there's a lot more opportunity with that 100K that you could have done if it was a real cash than throwing it into any one stock. JBag, so this is why I'm doing my best not to trade SPY options at the moment. Too fed up making a few good equity trades and losing a load more that I just made on a SPY option. Yeah, I hear you, man. That is the double-edged sword of high risk, high yield contracts. And if you can't manage that risk, they will destroy you. Like right here, normally I would probably add some to this one, but if and only if I see it break up to like here, which I might, but I don't want to over allocate too early. And I also don't want to, I'm not going to add to this because I didn't call it out ahead of time. And that's always my rule, is if I don't say that I'm willing to average down, then I'm not going to average down. But I know I've got hedgy over here, so we'll see. I just don't want it going down into this gap here, which it could very easily do, and it could do it very quickly as well. So this contract's down pretty far. Not quite as far as it should be, though. But I don't want it losing this box. So if it doesn't lose the box, I'll keep holding it. If it does, I'll just take the hit and I'll move on. It's 50 bucks. It's not the end of the world. But and then if that's the case, then I just I don't trade any more SPX today, because I don't want that to I don't want to take 2 losses in the same day. And then I just make it back on equity. The copy trader has been going well for me, though. I do invest like 5K and take a profit of almost 15K every 2 weeks, I think. Well, that's pretty good. That's the exception of the rule. Copy traders typically don't work. It's there's latency, there's a lot of psychology stuff in the mix. So if you found one that works, I say congrats. Just be careful, because they're not typically effective, if that makes sense. And a lot of them just they take your money and then they just put a bunch of signals in front of you. And then if you struggle, it's like, oh, too bad, so sad. Like, they don't even respond to you a lot of times. And then they like ban you from a server. And they never share their results. They don't share their losses. They just, make a bunch of excuses, and they're like, it's like, all right, so you're not copy trading, you're defrauding people. So that's why I like to share my losses too on here. And then like, those are the ones that send people out into every other community, and they're like, oh, join blah, blah, blah. And then that's how people get hurt. So I just don't want to see you guys get hurt. That's all. Oh yeah. Wow. Jeez. I sorry. I'm focusing on 2 different monitors here. I didn't see this. I'm probably going to cut this here in a second. If it, doesn't get bought back up, like, I don't want it going back down at all. So it's already pretty far down. So this will be my hard cut, or if I get a new candle down there. And if that's the case, again, I'll just take the hit. I'm not going to hang out too long. Sorry, I wasn't looking at this monitor at all. Have I made a profit? No. I'm going to get my butt kicked today. This is the SPX trade I'm taking today. It's one of 4 trades. But I just, it's sold down pretty far. So, the only reason I'm still holding this one is because the premium on the contract should be much lower. And for some reason it's not. And that's there's ask-side pressure on the contracts that I'm holding. So the specific contract that I have, the 7015 calls right here. For some reason, there's got to be a stack here on the ask. So I'm just waiting for a recovery. So it's a little bit of an audible here on SPX. Normally I would have just cut this, but the fact that the contracts aren't much farther down, even though the price is significantly down, is a factor. So basically, if this candle here pulls back down, then I don't want to be in it. So I'm just going to get my button ready. And I'm just going to take the hit. I don't want to mess with it anymore. Oops, what happened? Okay. What's going on? Oh, you know what? Actually, I might catch a piece off this bottom here. and then I'll cut it. Is it normal for premium not to be down? No. So it's not. Normally the premium will go down faster than the price on calls because they're going to deflate a lot faster. Hit the button harder. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, my problem, I keep looking at the chat. I keep like forgetting to focus on what I'm trying to do here. Yeah, so I put the order in to sell this one. It's just taken a while. I'm not sure why. So I might just cut that at a market order. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Oh, okay. Whew, finally. It wouldn't let me exit my trade. And that's all right. You know, it's SPX. It's super risky. I kind of got stuck in it. I kind of just stopped focusing on it too. I was over here looking at the chat. And that's fine. We can always make it back. But we're not going to revenge trade and do anything crazy. I'll wait for another setup and we'll trade one more if I want to. If not, I don't. And then we'll just do it again. So you're going to take losses. It's all part of the game. What's important there is even though it was like 60% down, I still just locked it in because I don't want to lose the remaining 40%. So this account's still up pretty good. I'm not too worried about that. Just kind of rejected up here and then I just didn't get out. So easy enough. 11. Oh yeah. So when equity halts, the order book gets really, really weird. That's EVTB, you said, is halted? Oh, it's unhalted now. But yeah, so what it does basically is it takes the farther out orders like $3.36 and $2. It'll bring them up here and it'll swap them. And a lot of that is the way that Webull renders it. What my biggest win has been since I started trading. Are you talking about in the market? Like which individual trade? I mean, that's going to be SPX by far. I mean, we're talking like 5-digit percent. Like I had like a 30,000% contract or something at one point. BCTX. Oh, crap, I got to go back to it. BCTX. Yeah, so they do that. Webull does that. Just it's one of their quirks. But they kind of invert the order book, at least the bid side. All right, so this isn't in my range right now, so I just got to kind of hang out and wait for it to return. I could do one here, but it's too close to this one, so I'm not gonna convince myself there's a healthy range there. Kind of like that. That's good. And we get the retests, so that's good. All right. So again, I'm just going to kind of peek over here at calls. Not going to commit to anything just yet. I want to see how the price reacts to this area. How's your day, Donkey? Did you figure out your interface yet, by the way? If no audible was made, it was going to be here below this one, but the contract, the value of the contracts was much higher than it should have been. Otherwise, I would have just got it right there. So I still would have taken a hit, but it would have been like 25% or something. All right, so we're seeing a little bit of support down in this area, but I got to wait. And there's still, I don't know if you guys can see the numbers on here, but there's still a lot of pressure here on these contracts. These are calls, so I have the calls pulled up. The calls should be absolutely deflated by now. Like this, anything below like 7K, you know, should be much, much lower. Up to like maybe here, like this should be like 8. This should be like 5. This should be like 3, like 1.5, and then 1. So this is the range where the contract should be looked at. Like this should be like 100 something, but it's 260, 255 right now, which is interesting. So let me just peek at the 15-minute here. interesting. I'm just going to draw a line right here. Just a little dashed fella. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and queue up the 7005. Not going to enter. I just want to see how it's going to behave around this level. And let me check. Are there any events coming up this morning, by the way? Just pull this up over here. 10 o'clock new home sales. Blah. And then 30-year bond auction at 1 o'clock. All right. So nothing super crazy here. Donkey says playing around with it still looks so. I look so cool. I put a suit on for this stream. Oh no. And then as soon as you join, we got nailed with SPX. That's all right. How are these going over here? Yeah, these aren't super great today. A lot of these are pulling down. Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep focusing on this over here for now. I'll wrap it up with some equity on this side here, but I don't really like the price action that I'm seeing over here. Not just yet. All right. And I will say is, if you trade farther out, when you're maybe 7 or 8 strikes away from in the money, the contracts also move pretty with a lot of volatility, right? They move up and down pretty quickly. The increments between contract buys is it's going to be more impactful. So that is also going to show bigger red numbers when it does move against you, or if it hangs out too long and goes against you. So that's always kind of an elevated risk when I trade these cheaper contracts. If you want safer, more stable trades, you can just watch these numbers here. Just if you can, if you're on an account that's larger, you can always trade closer to the market price as far as your strike go, and you'll have a much better time because you'll be able to control that risk a lot more tightly. Can't do that if you're out here, because if you're buying a contract at like $100, a 5-cent move, a $5 move is going to be 5% each time it moves. If you're up here at like $800, you're looking at 1/40th of the price. So 1/4% or something like that. 2.5%, my bad. So it's just a numbers game. What's the name of my channel? Well, I'm here most of the time. I do have a YouTube channel and X. It's PookiesRevenge. So I'm glad you're here. Is your friend in this community? All right, so for this strategy, I'm just going to wait for the price to puncture this, and then I'll draw a line, my threshold. I'll move this level down. And then if it can break the highs of the candles that push down into the zone without, destroying the zone and just blasting through it, I'll use that as my entry threshold. Otherwise, I've got a level zone, another zone down below. All right, so this one kind of gapped in here, so I'm just going to use this level. And I'll just draw that. And it looks pretty bearish. I mean, it's it's moving down. We don't want to fight fate here. That's why I want to wait until it's on the way up before I get in. And I always want to kind of reassess, which contract is the most efficient. So in this case, so far, the 7,000 one I think would be a better deal in terms of the volume that it provides. So I've got about 70 seconds to think about this. Sorry, I'm just doing some numbers here. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to move to the 7,000 one. That would probably be the safer option there, but I think I like the yield of the 7,005. Of course, that's if and only if we actually get an entry. Yeah, the mosquito analogy. So this is the artery. All right, take care, Chris. I'm glad you were able to hang out here. And congrats on nailing your profit and walking away. Good stuff, man. Good job, sir. Getting in, getting out. All right, so we're just still hanging out. We don't want to try to jump in early. We don't want to anticipate. Just watching and seeing what the stock does. And the cool part is, when we have drawdown on this account here, this stream, kind of gives me a good opportunity to show you guys, like, it does happen, and how we can work around it. All right, this candle here closed lower. I like that. So now I move my threshold down to here, and then I just want to catch the little mosquito when it's flying off. So right now it's going for some marrow. It's pretty deep. So, so I'll just keep following it down. And then as soon as we get this next trade here, I'll just swap back over to the equity and we'll wrap it up with that. Yes, come on down. So it might be going for the next level here. All right, so at this point, since it punctured that, I'm automatically going to move this level down. And it's a much safer strategy to just let the price fall down if you're not in, and just follow the candles down rather than just trying to buy the bottom and buying stuff just because it's in a zone. That's what a lot of people do, especially the retracement traders, Fibonacci's. And you don't want to catch something as it's pulling down into a huge gap like this. So I'll wait till it's on the way back up before I touch it. Yeah, puts might have been, yeah. I mean, it's circumstance, right? Price is definitely pulling down. But I did look at the put, the chain pre-market, right? And I just didn't like the volume on this side. So obviously the volume came in afterward and it's there now. But it was, the contracts were overinflated is what I'm trying to say. How can I exit the live? You mean the live stream, or are you in a trade? If you're in a live stream and you want to get out, if you can see my screen still, just click this little phone icon down here in the lower right. Or you might, if you put your mouse over, I'll just cover this up real quick. If you put your mouse over here, you see a red button. Just click that and it'll hang up. And if you can't figure that out, like if it doesn't show up for you on that, or if you're on a phone, just let me know and I can just disconnect you. So this level here just did not provide any resistance. All right, so we're hanging out. Yeah, they've been here for, I think it's like 2024, if I remember correctly. I don't remember all my people, but I remember certain names. All right, so we're hanging out. We got about a minute left on this candle. If this candle here closes down here, I'll just move the threshold down and we're just letting the price fall down. We get a 5 candle run into this area here. But it's important not to anticipate, right? I don't just want to jump in because I see it down here with a 5 candle. Part of the 5 candle is waiting for the candle to actually close before you move the line down. So right now the entry threshold is right here, 69.66. And I got to make sure I'm back on calls. And then I also want to look at a contract here. So 69.95. You know what? I might move down to the, I think I'm going to queue up the 7K wall, or the 7K contract instead. I think we're down in that range where it's a little bit more appropriate. Plus it's got better volume. So I was kind of on the fence about grabbing that one, but I kind of like it. All right, I got about 2 seconds left for this candle here, so I'm just going to move that level down. And I'm just waiting for these, the candle highs to break. So no entry just yet. And again, don't copy me, guys. You guys see that first trade kind of went against me. And I was too busy over here looking at chats and stuff, and I didn't cut it. So don't be like me. I can very easily make it back without, you know, emotional turmoil and things like that. But if you're on, especially if you're on a smaller account and you took that hit, that probably wouldn't feel too good. So I don't want you guys running into that obstacle. All right, I got about a minute left on this candle. And you can see there's about a $60, $55 gap between the $69.95 and the 7,000 contracts on here, which is interesting. It's a pretty sizable jump there. And then between the 69.90 and 69.95, there's almost $1. So it's almost like a 50% jump. Or 100%. It's like, what's that, like 60, 80%? Let's figure that out real quick. Yeah, 55%. So a pretty sizable move there. It's a big old gap. All right, we got about 7 seconds left on this candle. I'm just going to move this line down a little bit early because it's got to come all the way back up here in the next 1 second. So, the 5 candle continues. We have a Harami now. So basically, I just want it to compress into the zone, which it has, and I want it to reject out of the zone with some strength. And then I want that strength to continue. So right now, it's moved out with a little bit of a push, but it's not really strength yet. I want to see this the series here break. So I'm going to go ahead and get my my mouse hand over here. And the lower this goes, the more I'll eyeball the 69.95. But for right now, the 7K is still the most appealing so far. And they're going to try to push it down into this gap here, right? That's the inducement. We've got one opportunity for institutional support. Obviously, there's somebody here, right? So we want them to kind of step back in and slam the price to the upside. So until they do, I'm not jumping into this. There's going to be a lot of interest to the downside, obviously. And I don't want to play the gap game. So we'll just hang out. And if we get our trade, we get our trade. If we don't, we don't. All right, we got about 30 seconds left on this candle. We're back in the artery down here. We got 12 seconds left on this, and then I'll move the threshold back down. Delicious. All right, I'm going to move my threshold down to here. Okay, I might look for the 69.95 here. That does have a nice delta. Yeah, I think I'm going to grab the 69.90. Well, I'm not going to grab it. I'm queuing it up right now. The 69.95s. I think we're in territory where this one is going to be a little bit more efficient. So I'm going to grab this one instead. When it's ready, though. It's not ready yet. So I'm still waiting. So I'm just going to be nice and patient with it. Am I saying this right? It broke Harami formation. Yeah, so Harami is just a inside candle. So let me just draw that out real quick. Let me just find a good spot where I can grab some dark space here. So I just got to wait for my drawing tool to come back to reality here. So let's say you get a candle here and a candle here. That's a Harami. And then as soon as you get like a candle break to the upside that breaks over the top, right? or the bottom, you know, you make it a candle that comes down here, or both, right? Then it's an engulfing candle at that point. Otherwise, you've got a directional break or a volatility break. So that's all we wait for on Haramis. But that alone doesn't really signify anything. It just means that there's been some sort of compression and then a release. So in this case, so far, it's released to the downside, but it's just coming back to where it was before. So nothing substantial there. All right, gonna move this threshold down again. So it's still just kind of meandering down here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, potentially 10 candles in a row with lower highs so far. So the magic number is 8 to 10. So we'll see if we get our break here in the next candle or two. If not, you know, we might have that gap to contend with, and I don't want to fight against that. So 69.95 calls are back to $1, which is good. Back in the dollar range. And sometimes it just wants to go down, and that's all right. 8 to 10, what happened to 5 candles? So 5 is the minimum. I need at least 5. And then usually when it goes longer, usually it's 8 to 10 where that series tends to stop. Like it doesn't typically go beyond 10 candles. But it has, yeah, you have to have at least 5, and then all 10 or all 8 or all 9 of those candles have to have the 5 candle pattern. All right, we're getting a little bit closer here. It's got to get over 69, 61, 34, and then it's got to keep going. Xasian says, this is a question that plagues me on patience. How do you efficiently wait for the move you want without watching it? Practice. It's a lot of mindset stuff, you know. If like I know I could very easily be scalping this equity stuff. I see some of the numbers moving up and some of them moving down, a lot of them moving down. So I could, you know, come over here and make some money and get some action, but I'm watching this more patiently because this is going to be a better yield in as far as potential goes. So I could certainly be running around the woods chasing rabbits, and there's absolutely a time and a place for that. But since I'm incorporating SPX, I want to focus on this as well, a bit more intently. So you guys get to watch me, you know, look at this and stay calm, basically. You know, we're calm over here too, but the stakes are much lower. So I want you guys to see it's exactly the same set of emotions on this side than it is over here. And we're very used to things moving quickly because of the low flow trash. But that's, you know, you don't want that over here on SPX unless it's just a clean directional move. All right. So it looks like we might be getting a little bit close here, but it's just gotta go up. Just looking at the value of these contracts here, the 69.90s are 145, 69.95s are 95 to $1. So that's a good gap between them as well. You know, the 7,000 calls here still have the best volume and open interest. You know, it's 3 times the size of the ones that I have, which is interesting. And the price is currently $42 away from 7,000. So I'm sure a lot of these people are still holding those, which is craziness, but it is what it is. They probably bought them yesterday. So yeah, it just rejected that high, and then, but that's okay. You don't want to run looking in the woods. How often do I redraw ranges? I typically don't, unless I'm, unless like I erase them trying to explain something to someone. Usually I just keep them on the chart, and they're usually pretty accurate. Like I pull up like EVTV, for example. Well, maybe not. Oh yeah, but you can see like they just kind of stay relatively active. I'm going to switch back over here because I got to pay attention to that. This one closed, so I got to move my candle down to here. But you guys have seen price comes back into the range on one that I've drawn weeks ago, and the levels are still pretty accurate, and they still get the reactions. That's the cool part, is I don't really have to draw them too much. Like I don't have to do anything different, because if I erase them, I can always just draw them, and they'll usually be in the same spots. So I just don't bother erasing them. All right. So we're below the box, and we've got, let's count it up here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then potentially 12. So we're beyond the 8 to 10 range. So this is like an abnormally strong impulse. So if I kick it up to like the 15-minute, you can see it's very strong. So we're not going to fight that. We're just going to let it tire itself out and then catch the bounce. Because again, they're going to want to bring it down through this whole gap here, right? It's a pretty substantial move there. It is kind of slow though, all things considered. Like that very easily could have just been done in like 3 candles, 4 candles. So I don't want that to speed up down into here. So I'm just going to keep watching it nice and patiently, and just continually moving my levels down. And this is very much a patience game, and I can't get to my horizontal line. I'll have to draw another one. That's weird. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this to... oh no, because if I do that, I'll lose the box. Oh well. Not to worry. I'll just draw a new line, and that'll be that. Oh, I'll erase this one now. Okay. Whew. I couldn't access my my horizontal line here to drag down. And the best thing we're doing for ourselves right now is, because we're waiting and we're just letting the price sell off, we're not anticipating. We're not jumping in early, and we're letting all this drawdown happen without being in it. I was in over here. That's not fun. But I'm okay to let all these red candles form as far down as it wants to go until it's time for me to get in. So I'm going to switch this back over to the... I'm going to roll the contract that I have queued up here to the 69.90 now. Instead of the 69.95. So we're just letting the price fall down, and we're gradually grabbing contracts as they come into range that are more and more appropriate for our allocation. So I'm not trying to guess the bottom. I'm not trying to predict where I think it might bounce and where, this is the max pain point and all that stuff. I'm just letting the price move down until it stops, and then I'm letting it start to move up before I get in. So it is SPX, so we're going to see some violence on it. All right, this candle closed as well, so I'm just going to move that down. And we'll see if this one wants to show us an entry. I'm going to go ahead and grab my piece right there. Obviously high risk, so be careful, but I'm taking my shot right here. So I grabbed the 69.90 0-day calls, high risk. Don't copy me. Just showing you guys kind of how I trade SPX when I do, and we're not throwing our whole portfolio into this, because that is a good way to get blown up. So it's not worth it. So any risk I take over here on SPX, if I do take hits, I can very easily make it back elsewhere without taking more crazy risks. And I'm not shooting for these little $25 contracts and hoping they go parabolic. That's what a lot of traders do, because they have smaller accounts and they want to get those insane returns. The problem with that is the probability. So I'm pushing it here by staying down in this range where the $100 are. I don't want to go any lower than that. You're in a SPY put? Nice. When did you get into there? Did you get up nice and high? right, so we kind of challenged the low here. All right, I'm out of that one. I don't want to risk it if it's going to keep going down. So what I'll do in this case is I'll just trade this level here. And I'll just wait for it to see if it wants to come back. Otherwise, we'll start the 5 candle all over again. Yes, Xasian, I just took a tiny hit on that one. Because I don't trust it. Nice. Did you just get into your put, Paul? Oh, below 694. Okay. So you're probably up here somewhere on the SPX equivalent. Good stuff. Yeah, so consider the neighborhood we're in, right? It's been selling off pretty aggressively. We've got this big gap potential to the downside. We had, multiple candles, I think like 12 in a row or more, with lower highs. So I've determined the end range of that impulse. So I'll trade that as my threshold from now on. But once it breaks below that candle that formed the range, I don't want to be in it. So that'll be my range from now on. And if it wants to go back up, that's where I'll get in. I'm not going to get in anywhere below here unless I get another 5 candle run. Counting candles. What's up, Madster? I calling it the 8 candle rule. Yeah. All right. Maverick is most likely in that too. The SPY put? Yeah. Yeah, he goes with the trend a little more. I think I kind of I counter it every now and then. Especially when we're pushing new highs, right? Like if you consider the grand scheme of things, right? We got a very strong overall uptrend. If I come down to like a 30-minute, you probably see it. We gave some of that back today, but overall it's still a very strong uptrend. So I'm not going to fight that. But that's not to say there's still not good potential to the downside. Obviously there is today. I just don't trust it. So I'd rather trade the probability and trade with the overall trend. That's the only reason I'm looking at calls this week. So second contract, I was able to lock at like 11% or something, which is much more appropriate for these. So if you're going to trade SPX stuff, you're better off doing it that way and not letting stuff go down below like the entry candle or candle before. So I'm not going to move my level down as well because this isn't a 5 candle. So I can't justify it there. But what I'm going to do is leave my level here. And if we break above that level, like that'll just be my range from now on. And then if it doesn't come up, I just don't take any trades. So let's swing back over here really quick to the equity side. Looks like XAIR had a decent opportunity here, puncture, but it didn't, like this range right here is pretty substantial, right? So no go on that one. This one here had a nice little pullback, but the range was pretty high on that one as well. So not a clean entry. ATON is just selling down. That's pretty sketchy. AHMA is getting rejected off that box. DCOY, it's good curl potential. Don't really like it though. We'll do that, and then we'll do this. EBTV is just ramping. That's insane. Just a big old FOMO run out of nowhere. Let me switch back over to Senior SPX real quick. All right. And then we'll check BCTX. Yeah, I'd say DCOI is probably the one I'd be looking at. But it's in the middle of the range. So it's kind of, it's like floating in space. It doesn't have anything to kick off of. So nothing to really do there. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3 to the downside so far. And let me do this and that. All right, So we're just kind of hanging out and waiting for SPY to choose whether or not it wants to go up or keep floating to the downside. Like this move, it's a clear move here, but it's not very strong. Like those puts, you know, if you got in kind of high, I'd say you're probably all right. But this isn't like a super efficient move because it's taking many candles. So I'm not sure people are much happier on the put side unless they got in like up here. So it's just kind of slowly meandering down. That's not typically what we look for. On the SPY side, yeah, you're probably doing a lot better. But SPX, that's not an efficient move to the downside. So the IV and the theta are going to have a lot more eroding effect on those contracts on the SPX side. You're happy? Yeah, good stuff. Well, you're on the SPY side, so you're probably having a much better time than SPX put traders. You sold one, you're holding one. Good stuff. What was your percentage on that one, if you don't mind? Did you get like 40%? Because you got in like here, I would imagine. I don't know. I'm assuming it was a 0 day. $207 and $247. Oh, good stuff. So 40 cents. You get about 26%, 27. What's up? Oh, 19. I went the other way. Good stuff. So about 20% though. Minus your $1.50 fee for Webull. Are you on Webull? Or whatever the exchange charges your broker. Fidelity? Okay. I don't know what the fee is on there. It's probably small though. 65 cents? Okay. Good stuff, man. That's like half the price. It's less than half the price that Webull charges. I love it. Yeah, let me peek over here and see what SPY looks like. I'm sure it's probably, yeah, that's a much cleaner run on SPY. So basically, anyone who doesn't understand, the difference between SPY and SPX is SPY, you can trade the more directional moves like this, even if they're less efficient, because the contracts aren't going to be as impacted by IV. They're still impacted, but they're not as impacted. And with SPX, it's the raw exchange, and the numbers are bigger. So when you have, you know, a strong direction move like this, if it's not, you know, strong, like efficient, like if you don't see big red candles like this, you know, if you don't see those pretty frequently, let me see if I can find a good example. You'll still make some money, but it'll be a lot less efficient. Like these are bigger candles relative. Like you really want to see a move like this, where it's just nice and strong. That's how you make a lot more money, a lot more efficiently on the SPX side. All right, so we didn't get a 5 candle here, so it's just pulling up a little bit so far. And I'm not going to anticipate, I'm not getting in early or anything just because I see a little bit of green, or white in this case. I have to wait until it breaks over my threshold, and then I have a stop loss in place just in case it wants to pull back down. So we're kind of wrangling this in, but we're waiting until the downtrend kind of dissipates. And looks like it just failed to break over yesterday's high. So if I kick this up to the daily, you can see we're about to approach yesterday's kind of, well, we almost approached yesterday's opening price. So far, we're just kind of developing a harami for the day. So we're getting a little bit closer to my range. And these contracts are higher than they were when the price was here last time. So I got to keep an eye on that as well. I wouldn't mind getting a 69.85 because the volume and open interest on this is much higher, but the contracts are also much more expensive in terms of the premium. So I'm okay just kind of hanging out waiting. So these should be maybe like 115, 120, I think, if they come up to my entry threshold based on this. So I'll see if it wants to actually rally or if it wants to just do a little pullback and then fall down again. You're out 207 to 240 average on 2 contracts. Good stuff, man. And you're getting out while it's the move has kind of stopped a little bit for you. So good stuff. Now you protect those profits. All right. So we're showing a little bit more bullishness here. It's got to get over my 69.56 level though before I take action, because anything down here is just kind of, it's anticipation. So on the grand scheme of things, I'm just waiting for this to happen. That's all I care about. So once we get over there, I'll grab my little piece and we'll see where it goes. But anything before that, I don't want to jump into just yet. Also, let me check my calendar. I have to make sure I don't have any. Okay. We'll have to jump off somewhat soon, but not super early. Still got plenty of time to hang out with you guys. And as the day progresses, by the way, you don't want to hold these for hours. As the day progresses, anyone who doesn't know, theta, which is time decay, escalates, it ramps up. So you don't want to hold like this contract that I may be buying here pretty soon. I don't want to hold that into, let's say, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All right. Whatever. It wouldn't let me get into my contract. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my piece there. I got a little bit of a sloppy fill, and that's okay. Now we'll see if we can see some more strength and then push up through some of these boxes. Got my helmet on. I got my stickers on my helmet. Got my 5-point harness. Ready to go. So if I look at like the 10-minute, you can see we just broke the 5 candle. And we got plenty of room here to push up into a retracement. So we'll see if we can get a decent enough move on that. Or if it's just going to sell off again. All right, now this is going to be an uphill battle, right? It's got to get through some of these boxes here. And we have plenty of support on these contracts, but I did get one of the slightly inefficient contracts. I would have liked to have gotten the 69.85s or the 7,000 one. Obviously, the 7,000 is a little bit out of range right now, and the 69.85 is a little bit more than I'm willing to pay. So I don't want to take bigger allocations on that. If I have to take a potential hit, I'd rather have it on a responsible amount. All right, so price is kind of stagnating a little bit, which is okay for me. It kind of works in my favor here. But I have to be mindful of IV and theta as well. So IV wasn't too bad on these. The Vega number is all right. It's acceptable. But the theta is something I have to worry about as time goes by. JWags, are you talking about Lee? Today he was watching it take 693 put once it moved under 694 and looked like it wanted to stay there. Posted in the watch list channel. Yeah. Did notice till SPY was already around 693.25. That's how it goes. He's taking yesterday's expiration. Yes. All right, we're up so far about 12%, 13. And I just kind of want to see how it's going to behave around this box. Price hasn't moved and the contracts just increased in value, which indicates that people are adding ask side pressure. So far so good. I don't see any major red flags just yet, but I want to see a clean move through this zone. And then if we get that, we should see a nice clean pop up to the next one. Similar to this candle right here. That's kind of what I'm looking for here. I just want to see a nice clean push. I don't want to see it kind of putter around. So we cleared this so far. And we're getting a little bit of friction here. So this is kind of the sensitive area, right? It's the first major resistance. So we'll see if this guy here wants to defend his bearish position or if the risk might be too high. I just don't want to see a pivot. So there we go. Let's see if we get a little more intensity on that. You're not doing a SPY or SPX trades for now? Yeah, that's good stuff. And again, you guys don't ever have to trade this stuff. I'm just kind of showing you how I do it. And I'm not against taking a loss on this because you guys can see also how impactful it can be to take a loss. 5 candle to the upside. Yes, so far this is a 5 candle. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles that have all closed with higher lows from candle to candle. Yes, ma'am. So we're in a bullish impulse here on a pullback. So it's kind of an out of place setup here, but I'll take it. Okay, so I don't like seeing a wick here. Remember, I don't want this to reject and pivot down. I just want it to push through this level nice and cleanly and then take on this level. So I don't want to see a struggle right here. If I do, if I got to take a hit, that's okay. I would just prefer not to. So the 5 candle is broken. So now we see what the response to that's going to be. And I got my stop loss down here. So if it wants to pull up and be nice, I like that. Otherwise, if it pulls down here and breaks below, I'll just take the hit. Exactly. Yeah, I can't scale out. And that's why I don't want to have, you know, multiple buys or anything like that. I just want to have my one clean buy, one clean sell. And that's why I'm not tolerating any kind of, you know, trend chaos. I just want it to get one clean push. You know, I don't want to track the price up and then down and up and down and roll a position. I just want to have one buy, one sell. So in this right here, you know, I can't justify entering down here because this wasn't a 5 candle run. So if this candle here maybe closed a little bit lower than this guy, had a lower high, then I could justify getting in, but I still would have just waited till here to get in. Personally. But now that we're in, we have to contend with this area where there is defense. And this defense provided a move like this last time. And it's I just don't want that move to go against me. So we got another push off it right there. We've got a rejection off the zone here, and we got a rejection off the zone here historically. So that's kind of the behavior I'm looking at potentially. So I don't want to move to the downside because that can go pretty far down. I just want it to go up and through, and then ideally slam it pretty high to the upside. But I don't want it going slow either. It's got to go at a certain rate. Otherwise, the contracts just won't gain value. Even if the price goes up, you can still lose on SPX contracts because they have to outperform that theta and the IV fall off. And that's what compels people to hold contracts. And then, you know, 4 hours later, you're like, yeah, I was right. You get the validation, but the contracts are still blood red because the price didn't move fast enough. So that's why I try to look for those impulse, the ends of the impulses, and then breakthroughs of momentum gaps. So sorry this is taking a while, guys. It's just how the mornings are sometimes. see, I don't know if you guys can see it, the value of these contracts are kind of fluctuating a little bit. It's very sensitive to the price movement right now, these premiums. So right now it's 108. It's 110, 108, 107, 108, 112, 108. So it's very, there's a lot of activity on these contracts, the 69.90s. So if I come over here, you can see that's kind of what we're up against here. So it's got to go. I don't want it hanging out and dropping below the stop loss there. Let me just move this over here as well. And, you know, you could also make the argument this is a perfectly good loading zone for puts as well, right here on the break of that candle. Because you are below a range that has historical violence, you did see a 5 candle run, and that did break to the downside. So if you're trading puts, you know, that's your range right there. So if that can break to the upside, we're in good shape. Otherwise, you know, puts might take it. Russell and Dow already had a strong turnaround. This is either lagging or just won't move the way they did. Yeah, and sometimes that'll happen. You know, the profile here shows that we do have pretty strong bullish potential, and so does the options chain. Like a lot of these have pretty strong volume, considering we just had a pretty aggressive, not aggressive, but we had a pretty directional move to the downside. So it's interesting. And I like interesting because that allows me to kind of identify, you know, opportunities. So we'll see. Sometimes you get it right. Sometimes it goes against you, and that's okay. Hopefully you guys can at least see the risk in trading SPX, especially if you don't just cut them early. Because once they go against you pretty hard. You guys saw that one contract went from like 30 to 60% pretty quick. And then I was over here looking at chat. I didn't pay attention. So that's on me. How are the Qs doing, by the way? Just curious. Yeah, so we're about the same. SPY's pulling up a little bit higher than the Qs, which is good. Yeah, that one had a nice little pop on it. That's the Russell 2000. So yeah, it is interesting. I mean, we'll see what happens. Got about 15 minutes or so before I got to jump off of here. Oh, sorry, this is taking a while. Let me see if I can grab some equity here. Yeah, we didn't really get good entries on these. You know, I mean, we got the boxes, you know, and there were moves out of the boxes, but I don't see anything where we really had a like that rejection there. Obviously, that's not what we're looking for. You know, I kind of want to draw this box here, and maybe we can keep watching this one. But nothing's really testing these zones, you know, so I don't feel too bad about missing out on these. You know, you got that box there, and then of course this fella. And let's see here, you got this guy, and that's about it. You know, a lot of these are hanging out below their ranges. It's definitely kind of a put day, a bearish day, if you will. I don't know. There's not a whole lot going on the equity side here. unless you just want to catch the breakouts. Like you could do pivot breakouts and stuff like that. But for this setup, if you're not catching the, like you could take this size risk here, but I don't like doing that on these. So even if I just focus on the equity stuff today, I mean, we might have got like 1 or maybe 2 small opportunities here, but nothing that would have been clean, I guess is the best operative word there. I'll just pop back over to SPX here. Looks like we're getting ready for another potential rally. Let's see if we can get some of that volume to come in. A few in your watch list are down. Yeah, it's just one of those kind of sketchy days where there's good, strong, bullish volume, but it's not clean, if that makes sense. At least for my strategy that I'm teaching you guys. So that means we wait until that, sketchiness kind of wears off and we get good, clean setups, and then we trade those. All right, so price still just kind of hanging out sideways here. I really just want a good, strong rip to the upside. I don't want to hang out too much. And I still have settled cash. Like it's not game over or anything. I just want the price to go fast, just to make a quick exit on SPX here. Let me peek over here. Just going to kind of keep an eye on these real quick. See if I can also get an equity trade here. So for this, obviously, it's got to come back to a box. Like I'm not trading anything that's not busting out of a box right now on any of these tickers. I would say this one might get rejected here. Mattster made 1% in all 3 accounts. He's done for the day, closing out the brokers. Beautiful. Love to see it. I actually got to jump off here pretty soon as well. So I won't be hanging out too long. But that's good stuff, man. Congrats. How long did you commit to looking at charts today? All right, BCTX is getting a little push out of the box. Good push, but again, not my entry because I have to wait for a candle break. 45 minutes, that's not bad, man. Good stuff. Was it a lot of just waiting on setups? Waiting now after work. All right, good stuff. Oh, yep. Actually, I just got my DM, so I have to jump off here as well. I hate cutting this one short. I'm sorry we took some hits today. This one's that I'm probably going to cut this as well. Dang it. I got to stop looking away from the charts. All right, I'm probably going to cut this one. I'll let you guys know if I take another trade. I'll put it in the chats. I got to wrap this up, unfortunately, really fast.